Good morning. My name is Helen Foss, and I'm today's worship associate. On behalf of the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome you to our online worship service. Welcome, no matter the hue of your skin or the origin of your ethnicity, whether you are doubting, believing, or searching, whatever your political bent, no matter the extent or limitation of your financial resources, whether you are young of age or young at heart, and welcome whatever your gender or whomever you love. If you're new to us, we urge you to connect to our website, firstuuwilm.org, and sign up for our email newsletter. We welcome to our virtual pulpit this morning the Reverend Kimberley Debus. Reverend Debus recently served as minister at First Universalist Church in Southold, New York. She is currently building a community ministry of the arts in the capital region of New York. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship with this morning's prelude music.
My name is the Reverend Kimberley Debus, and I invite you into worship with these words from John Saxon. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It calls us in the silence and through the noise of our daily lives. It calls us in the brightness of day and the darkness of night, in times of hope and despair. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It doesn't matter what you call it, for it has no name and has many different names. The Spirit of life, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of compassion, the Spirit of hope, the Spirit of justice. Listen. Can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It's calling to you and to me. It's calling us to greater wholeness, greater connection, greater service, greater love. It's calling us to heal the brokenness within ourselves, in others, and in the world. It's calling us to live more deeply. It's calling us to beauty. It's calling us to laugh and dance and sing. It's calling us to live through life's pains and sorrows. It's calling us to live courageously and kindly, to speak our truth in love, and to bend the moral arc of the universe toward justice. It's calling us into community, It's calling us into the greater life of all. Listen. Can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. So come, let us worship together.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me by lighting it in just a few moments. It is with sadness that I light our chalice this morning in memory of our longtime member, Ross Hawkins, who lived out in Sedona, Arizona. Ross Hawkins was the founder and executive director of the Hummingbird Society in 1996 and a member of our church before he moved to Sedona with his wife, Beth Kingsley Hawkins. Beth and Ross were married in our church 33 years ago. For numbers of years, they offered to stay at their Sedona home for first use auction and provided us winners with an amazing experience of paradise in the middle of the Arizona desert. Our hearts go out to Beth, who has been a member here for well over 50 years, and to Ross's daughters, Anita and Sandra. Our chalice lighting words for this morning are from UU minister Reverend Cynthia Landrum. We light this chalice, the beacon that calls us, to love, to justice, to a deepening of the Spirit. Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. Our story for all ages this morning is with special thanks to our Religious Exploration Director, Catherine Williamson. I share with you a very special book that I think fits with today's theme. It's called I Wonder, and it's by Annika Harris and illustrated by John Rowe. Eva loves to look for the moon. It follows her from place to place, disappearing behind trees and mountains, and then appearing again someplace new. Eva says, "Look, Mama, there it is." And Mama says, "The moon looks so beautiful in the sky. How do you think it follows us, Eva?" Eva thinks about it, but she can't figure it out. Mama says, "It's okay to say, I don't know. When we don't know something, we get to wonder about it." "I wonder if the moon and the earth are friends," says Eva. Her mother smiles. "I like that idea." "But Mama, how does the moon really stay close to us?" "There is an invisible force called gravity that pulls all the things in the universe together," Eva's mother explains. "Gravity keeps the moon close to the earth, and it keeps the planets close to the sun, too. They circle like this." Eva understands a little better, but then she starts to wonder, "Mama, where does gravity come from?" "I don't know, Eva. Nobody really knows for sure. And when no one knows the answer to something, it's called a mystery. A mystery is something for everyone to wonder about together." How fun! Eva imagines herself wondering about gravity together with all the people in the world. Eva watches the moon disappear behind the clouds as she walks, excited to see where it will appear next. "How many grains of sand are in the whole world, Mama?" "I wondered about that too. There are trillions and trillions of grains of sand, but nobody knows exactly how many." Eva tries to think about all the sand in the whole world. "It feels so big, I can't make it fit in my imagination. It makes me feel dizzy, like I'm falling." "I know what you mean," her mama agrees. "And I'm sure that other people feel that way too." Eva walks down another path, looking for the moon, and a little orange butterfly appears. Then she notices there are butterflies everywhere. "Mama, where did all of these butterflies come from?" "These butterflies have been flying around for a few days, but they started out as little caterpillars. And those caterpillars came from eggs, and those eggs came from other butterflies. There are cycles all around us, with one thing ending and another beginning. Things are always changing. Can you think of other things that change? Clouds and frogs and me." Later, Eva wonders, "Mama, what was here before all the butterflies and frogs and clouds, before everything?" "I don't know," answers her mother. It's another mystery. I like trying to imagine what was here before the beginning of everything. What do you think was here? And Eva says, smiling, I don't know. She thinks about it for a long time, and then she has an idea. I wonder if there were feelings. As she walks home, Eva sees the moon again, glowing brightly above the roof of her house. Let's go inside and look for the moon through the window. We live with some big mysteries. When we come upon one, we're given a little gift. Every mystery is something for all of us to wonder about together. What do you wonder about?
I invite you to a time of prayer and meditation with these words from Alicia Ford. Spirit of life, hear our prayer. Help us to know that when we pause to remember who we are, companions on this grand experiment called life, when we take a moment to shed the ways we have been carefully taught, to lead from fear, to punish the poor, to persecute those who don't look like we do, to deny rights to those we love, to believe that we are separate, that some people are superior to others. When we take a moment to shed all of that and hear our stories, hear and see each other into existence, into community, when we take a moment to embrace, to practice a different way of being, when we answer the call of love, then we are living into the promise of building the world we dream about. It is beautiful to dream, to cast a vision, to stretch our minds into the future and imagine what may be if we were to build a new way of being. Not someday, but beginning again today, beginning again every day that we have breath, taking courage with these hands and hearts to make real the dream of a more equitable world, to journey together, seeking to be transformed even as we transform. Becoming explorers and learners in this world around us, humbled by what we do not yet know. Fulfilling the promise of healing a fragmented world, laboring not just in hope, but also in love. In this spirit we commit. In this spirit we pray. Amen, and blessed be.
I invite you now into a time of shared silence. I invite you to say aloud the name or names of people who are in your hearts and minds who need our care and concern this day. May all those whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day.
Be still. Breathe in awareness. Let go. Let go. Judgment and attachment. Accept what is. Gently with compassion. You are where you should be. Be still. You are where you should be. Be still.
Our reading is a poem called Faithless Works by Jennifer Kwong. They say faith without works is dead, so I worked for equality next to my queer friends who wanted to get married, and I worked for religious freedom next to my Muslim friends who were accused of being terrorists. And I worked for racial justice next to my black friends whose lives were affected by police brutality. Yet I didn't feel fully alive even after working myself to death, until I let my work become a spiritual practice, until I let go of my attachment to the outcome, until I stopped chasing after political issues, one after another. I still believe faith without works is dead, but works without faith is just as lifeless. Spirit of life, come unto me. Spirit of life, a phrase so common in Unitarian Universalism, it almost sounds like one word, spirit of life. We say it easily and without thought, as though this is the name we decided to give to the divine, to mystery, to God. We talk about spirit, sing about spirit all the time, really. This is our word, our shorthand for acknowledging that which is beyond us, even if we're not entirely sure there is anything beyond us. Spirit is comfortable and comforting because it is also so deeply in us, because it is us. Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams suggested that our faith is dependent on the Spirit behind creation and in all of our prophetic witness. It is something that connects us, that compels us to the work of justice and compassion, that holds us in times of celebration and sorrow, and certainly in these times of pandemic and uprising. We may never really know what it is, but as Unitarian Universalists, it helps us to name that something, that great mystery. We call it the Spirit of life. And I don't know about you, but I can't start a prayer or meditation without it. Even if I follow up with names like Infinite All, Creator, Parent, God, we start with Spirit of Life. And I blame Carolyn McDade. In all the best ways, of course, as her song Spirit of Life has become a cornerstone in Unitarian Universalism. This song is so incredibly meaningful to many of us. It is indeed an incredibly meaningful song. Many consider this to be the Unitarian Universalist hymn, touching so much of what is central to our faith: compassion, justice, community, freedom, reverence for nature, and the mystery of life. It is perhaps the best well-known of what we might call our insider songs, and it is used throughout the denomination as an invocation, a sung response to joys and concerns, a hymn of meditation, even a song of welcome to membership. It is hard to remember a time when this song wasn't so deeply ingrained into the fabric of our Unitarian Universalist lives. Yet it wasn't always so beloved. While some congregations were singing the song from photocopies of a passed-along handwritten sheet, others had never encountered it. The Reverend Tom Belote talks about growing up in one of the Boston area churches and hearing Spirit of Life for the first time when the Gray Hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, was released in 1993. This song, so simple, only one verse in a folk modality, seemed almost useless and foreign. "How is this a hymn?" the people cried out. They hated it. They hated it. They hated the shortness of it, the sound of it, the language of it. And that congregation wasn't the only one. It took quite a while for Spirit of Life to catch on everywhere in the denomination. But we have seen it catch on, and we forget this bit of our history that Spirit of Life hasn't always been the mainstay that it is now. And even though other songs like Blue Boat Home are vying for position, Spirit of Life remains at the top. For many, it speaks our truth. It is meaningful. But I worry that we misuse it or misunderstand it or use it as a shibboleth or a sign of our faith. Some Unitarian Universalists use it as a declaration of theology, which it isn't, even though it is deeply aligned with the theologies we each espouse and aligned with the principles we affirm and promote. It gets used sometimes like a creed, which is a hard sell in our non-creedal faith. We don't espouse or demand belief in any particular doctrines. That's the freedom of our liberal religion. And anyway, Spirit of Life as a statement of belief doesn't even work really, as there's nothing in there that even hints at an I believe statement. No less our much more open and somewhat challenging affirm and promote that begins our principles. But worse, I worry that some of us use this song as performative, as a show to others of our righteousness. There's a Christian song that some of you may be familiar with that goes, "They will know we are Christians by our love, by our love." And that too feels performative to me, and I think Unitarian Universalists sometimes sing Spirit of Life in the same way. Look at how good we are. Look at how woke we are. The Spirit of Life is not a brag. And it's certainly not a statement of theology. Spirit of Life is a prayer. An individual prayer, the prayer of one person exhausted, crying out for help, for comfort, for renewal of the fire of commitment. It is a prayer that comes out of a place of humility. In a 2007 interview in UU World, McDade reflects with contributing editor Kimberley French on the event that inspired the song, a meeting for Central American solidarity. French writes that what Dade remembers most clearly was the feeling she had. "When I got to my friend Pat's house," said McDade, "I told her I feel like a piece of dried cardboard that had lain in the attic for years. Just open wide the door and I'll be dust. I was tired, not with my community, but with the world. She just sat with me, and I loved her for sitting with me." McDade then drove to her own home. I walked through my house in the dark, found my piano, and that was my prayer. May I not drop out. It was not written, but prayed. I knew more than anything I wanted to continue in faith with the movement. And thus, a prayer was written. A request for support, for rest, for renewal, for perspective. A plea for the Spirit of Life to come. A knowing that we can't do it all by ourselves. It is a humble song. And not just because it's a simple tune with one simple verse. It takes humility to sing to Spirit, to ask Spirit to bring the things that should be cornerstones of how we are in the world. And this matters. Always, of course, in our work of justice, but especially now when a revolution is spawning. You see, revolution isn't just about battle lines. It's about changing hearts and minds. It's about a shift in our understanding, approach, as well as organization and resourcing. Now, you can say that the civil rights movement was a revolution, and in many ways it was. It did revolutionize some of how we are as Americans around race. Yet it also caused a doubling down. and the institutionalization of racism undercover in our economic systems, in our infrastructure, in our schools and emergency services, and in our neighborhoods, and yes, in policing. Jim Crow was made illegal, but the ideas remained. They remained through the murders of black people on our streets by police and those who imagined they were being righteous. They remained through the subtle ways that voting rights have been stolen. They remained through a shocking school-to-prison system for people of color. They remained through the denial of medical care through exorbitant fees and facility closures. They remained through the cost of being poor. They remain through the everyday microaggressions and racist acts that add to generations-old trauma. They remain through the simple act of a popular athlete taking a knee and being blackballed from his sport. And right now, we are beginning to see not just an uprising to address a particular moment, the murder of George Floyd, but an actual revolution. Apologies, removal of statues, banning of Confederate flags, talk of defunding the police, and figuring out how to finally abolish modern slavery. A shift in the understanding that the very systems we have relied on for so long have been harming some, denying their humanity, their inherent worth, denying justice. This work, this hard work of revolution, this is the work that people of color have been doing for far too long. This is the work that has gone too long ignored by white people or co-opted in bite-sized pieces, enough to satisfy us without challenging us. I speak to you as a white person who has been resolved in her anti-racism, but hasn't always been humble. The work of revolution, especially for those of us who are allies, demands humility, demands that we acknowledge all that we do not know because of our own experiences of race, our own view of the world, our own reliance on systems that protect us, that our work is ours to do, that our hearts and minds and spirits are ours to change. Spirit of life, come unto me. This work is hard. This revolution in the midst of a pandemic seems nigh impossible. We need all the help we can get. It matters that we enter the work with faith and resolve, and especially for those among us who are white, a sense of humility. Whether we can be marching on the streets or contributing to organizations that help with bail money and that support organizers, or just learning more of how to undo racism, we can do better with the stirrings of compassion and justice that the Spirit of life brings us. And if you're wondering how you can help, seek out resources of practical ways to be in the struggle beyond the streets. They're everywhere online right now. We cannot sing this song and believe we're done. We cannot sing this prayer and not be called to action. And not just action in our communities, but action in our world. As the Reverend Nancy MacDonald Ladd said at General Assembly in 2016, the world does not need another place where like-minded liberals hang out and fight about who is in charge. We need to lean into the real fights of our age, and we cannot do that holy work together unless we are really willing to set aside our need to win and reach out our hands and seek the deeper understanding that comes with difference. To do this work, we need all the help we can get. We sing Spirit of Life to ask for those things we each need most from Spirit. Strength, renewal, energy, focus on true revolution, a reminder that it's worth the fight, a reminder of the gifts we bring, help for the ministries we already do, help showing up in ways that are needed, providing financial support, caring for one another, doing the good hard work of maintaining this community through a pandemic, help to speak out, ways to speak truth. More than ever, we need the Spirit of life. We need our spirits to catch fire, to rise up in us, to cause us to rise up to what this moment in history is calling us to. We won't all rise in exactly the same way, and that's okay and that's good, because the revolution needs all of us. But we must rise. We must draw the circle of love ever wider. We must be the people we've been waiting for. Spirit of life, come to us. Come to us. Amen.
The stewardship moment is a time during each of our Sunday services for us to make a contribution to support the work of the church. But as I pondered what I might say this summer morning, I was struck by the actual meaning of stewardship. The job of taking care of something in all the ways that this plays out here at First U. So before I invite you to consider your financial contribution today, I'd like to salute several ways Such stewardship is playing out this summer during the pandemic. Our church kitchen is closed, so our Emmanuel Dining Room team is working it out. Cindy Cohen delivered all the ingredients to Betty Weir at her home, and Betty shredded 30 pounds of chicken and put together 7 casseroles. Rita Meek picked them up and delivered them to the Emmanuel Dining Room for the next day's meal. First Unitarian's commitment to provide the meal on the 20th of each month. Pastoral care is being provided by our pastoral care team. Giovanni Mairano is July's contact. Becky Laster is helping to organize our Human Rights Task Force, work with the UU The Vote. Barbara Kroll is helping with Ilya's Zoom graduation party. Richard Speck and John Claney are doing the technical magic to produce First U's virtual choir. And Steve Cohen continues managing our sign out on Concord Pike. Always a pithy quote to catch some attention and to capture our UU spirit. And later each week, the announcement of our Sunday service. We had to pivot on March 15th to having services online during the pandemic, and we have developed an amazing, well-oiled AV machine to make it happen. With Reverend Pam away on her vacation and study leave, they are on their own. Cindy Cohen creates the slideshow and searches out the music appropriate for the service. John Claney manages the video operations by setting up the cameras, filming our in-sanctuary moments, creating the Sunday video streams, and running the AV booth with his sons, Leo and Eli. Along with Eric Goodlett, he even has created teleprompters for us to use when we do our in-sanctuary filming. The sanctuary has become quite the TV studio. We are grateful to each of these members and to all the many others involved in church work on our behalf, particularly this summer. Now it is your turn to consider how your financial contribution will support this beloved community. You will see 3 ways you can contribute listed along the side of your screen: mailing a check to the church office, going online to www.firstuuwilm.org and contributing there, or using the Give Plus app on your smartphone. All are wonderful ways to give back to our church, and we thank you for your generosity. Now, please join me in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives in these, our offerings.
I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. And Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? And Julian, do you not know about pain? And I said, Julian, do you not know about hunger? And Julian, do you not know about shame? But she said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, not know about disease. And I said, Julian, do you not know about cruelty? I said, Julian, it's too much. It brought me to my knees. But she said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. And she said, no one does not know about sorrow. And no one does not know about pain. She said, no one does not know about hunger. No one does not know about shame. And she said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. And she said, no one does not know about loneliness. And no one does not know about disease. And she said, no one does not know about cruelty. She said, I know it's too much. It brought me to my knees, where I heard, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, you are holy. You are holding my hand. And Julian, you are holy. You are holding my hand. She said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. And she said, baby girl, do you not know about tenderness? She said, baby girl, do you not know about friends? And she said, baby girl, do you not know about the Spirit? She said, baby girl, do you not know it's only love that never ends? And so all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. And so all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well.
We close our service today with these words from Chip Roush. Deeper than DNA, more fundamental than molecules or quarks, at our living core, we are wholeness and transfiguring love. We often forget that power, becoming lonely or resentful, comparing ourselves to others, acting out of our fears rather than living in our glory. Occasionally, we rouse from our trance to remember our wholeness. For a time, we embody unsentimental love. We make efforts to wake others and to remain fully present ourselves. May our lives be made sacred by our striving. May we be more aware of the spirit of life evolving through and among us. So may we be. Go in love. Go in joy. Go in spirit. Go in peace.
Now finally join me in the process of extinguishing our chalice with these words by UU Becky Laurent. As flame is to spirit, so spirit is to breath, and breath to song. Though we extinguish the flame in this sanctuary, may we tend it in our hearts until we meet again.
There will be better days. 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 Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am there will be better days. 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 Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am there will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am there will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. 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 There will be better days.
Thank you.